Hey ladies, welcome back to another episode of the Pretty Fearless podcast with me, your host, Morgan Tracy J. And today's episode, girl, I gotta ask you, are you fed up yet? Are you fed up with you yet? Are you? All right. Well, the reason I'm asking you that question is so many women come to me and say, Morgan, I want to change my health style. I want to change my life. What is the problem? What motivated you? And the biggest thing is, y'all, I got fed up, okay? And we're going to talk about it in this episode of Pretty Fearless. But before we jump into this episode, girl, make sure you are subscribed to us on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. All right? You can listen to this anywhere podcasts are hosted. And most of all, every time that you leave us a review or you comment, you go in the running for Fearless merchandise, okay? We love giving away Fearless merch to you ladies that just make you feel good, make you feel fearless all week, all month long, okay? Many people have asked me, what was your turning point? What was the thing that made you start the ministry, jump on YouTube, start going after your purpose? What was that thing? And although I give Jesus Christ all the credit for pushing me and giving me the idea and the vision, there was another major thing that happened in my life that caused me to do the things that I do today. And really what it was is I got fed up. And I've watched in my life, there's been different moments and different seasons when I've been very comfortable, where God would bring something to make me so fed up that would be like a paradigm shift in my life. It was like something would automatically shift me. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I can't go through this path anymore. I can't do it this way anymore. I am fed up. And most of all, I'm not just fed up with that. I'm fed up with myself. I'm fed up with myself for allowing less than what I know I'm capable of. All right. Let me tell you how I got there many different times. All right, this was years ago. I was in college and I had already started a YouTube channel and I was kind of playing with uploading occasionally, and it was always really low key. Like I wouldn't share it with nobody. I would just upload occasionally. And you know what I realized after a whole year and a half on YouTube, uploading once every 3 months, I realized that I was fed up with myself. I was like, you could have been further along by now if you just would have been consistent. Like, just show up, girl. I was so fed up with myself. So 2017, I called it the year of the fearless. And I started going hard. I was like, you know what? I'm going to be fearless and I'm going to just go hard for my dreams. And that really helped me. But the truth of the matter was I was fed up with living haphazardly in my dream. What I mean haphazardly is I had one foot in and one foot out all the time for my dream. And I was fed up with that. I was fed up that, girl, you've been doing this thing for years now. And God has already put it on your heart to go to YouTube and start sharing your stuff on YouTube. And you got one foot in, one foot out. You don't want to do too much. You don't want to look weird. You don't want people to think, oh, who does she think she is? I was fed up with myself, okay? So that was one major thing that catapulted me into doing YouTube. Now, let me tell you this. Don't think that that was the only time I ever was fed up and that has kept me going all this time. That's not the truth. There was one time years ago I was in a relationship, and I remember in this relationship, things just kept happening. And it wasn't making me feel really great about myself. I remember I no longer was proud about the woman I was. I wasn't even happy about the relationship anymore. I was accepting so much that now I'm like with the person and I'm like, why am I accepting all this like crap you're bringing me? And I remember I was just like internally, slowly, I guess I was getting fed up. Okay. And I remember like one time we would always have these little arguments and stuff. And when we would have arguments, he would go ghost for some days, right? And he had done that a few different times on me. But on this one particular time, he did it again. We had a little argument. He went ghost again. He went ghost for days. And in that time, because I was already so fed up with how the relationship was making me feel and what was going on in that relationship, I was just done. I was done. Like that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And so I know days, weeks later, he comes back like, all right, let's come on, let's work this out. Let's get back together. Let's make sure everything is Gucci. And I'm over here like, no, I'm done. Like, I'm done. But it was because I was fed up. Okay. All my fears of, oh, y'all been together so long. Oh, just keep working it out. Oh, well, will you get any better? All those fears just had to be quiet because I was so fed up. All right. And so that's why when people say, Morgan, I can't really change my life. I have been stuck here. When you get fed up, you will move. You ain't fed up enough yet. You ain't fed up with yourself yet. You're not fed up with your bank account yet. You're not fed up with your situation. And I got to give you this example too. This happened years and years ago. I had already started my ministry, but it wasn't really taking off like I wanted it to. And for some reason, I was just so convinced that I was supposed to be full-time in ministry, even though the ministry was not making any type of money, even though I wasn't making any type of money, even though I couldn't even survive without my parents. So I remember this one day, This is after months of just truly working on this thing. It was like I kept getting told like you should get a job. My mom and dad, they were like really soft about me trying to get a job, but they were like real gracious with me. And I just was like, no, I'm gonna do ministry. I'm gonna do ministry. I'm gonna do ministry. I was so gung ho on my plan. And I remember one day, I remember my mom and them were paying my phone bill. I didn't have no money. I barely had any gas every time. I was always getting money from them for gas and stuff. And that was getting frustrating because I remember I was like, my sister was going and getting her nails done. And I remember she would have to get my nails done, or I'd have to ask somebody, my mom or dad, like, can I get some money to get my nails done? Like, I was getting fed up a little bit, but I wasn't fed up too much because I was still doing what I was always doing. And I remember one day my mama came home from work. And at this time, my mom was having a lot of like bad and knee pain, if I'm not mistaken. And she came home from work one day and she was limping. She was limping. And I remember seeing her limp and I thought, oh gosh, it's really hurting her. And then I kid you not, I go do my little stuff in the room. I go drive. About 6-7 hours later, she got called into work because of something. And so she's getting up, getting ready, and she's limping. And she limps. She limps as she gets ready. She limps all the way out the door. She leaves. And something hit me. Like, your mama has a stronger work ethic than you do. Your mama will work through her pain and you won't even go get no job. And I kid you, that night, that evening, when she left, I cried. I fought myself because myself said, no, it's got to go like this. I can't get a job because it's going to take away from the ministry and it's going to take me away from this. And I remember I was like, but if your mama can get up with a bad knee and a bad back and go to her job, who says you can't? Who says you can't get up with all good body, go to your job, still come home and still work on your ministry? Who says that? And I remember that day I had to die to myself because I was fed up. I was fed up at myself that my plan had been so gung-ho. I've been so gung-ho about my plan that even though people around me are showing that you could probably do both, girl, I'm not willing to do both. I was fed up. And you know, the next day, actually that night, I started getting a resume together. I updated my resume on Canva, put all up some information, updated my information. Next day, I went to the library, I printed out my resume, and I kid you not, within 2 days, I had a job. I started applying online. I started looking at our local newspaper, who is hiring. I kid you not, 2 days later, I went to an interview and got the job on the spot. And that job, let me not lie, that job blessed my dream so much. It was that job that I got my whole first paycheck, and I said, hey, parents, is it okay if I use my whole first paycheck to buy a camera? And y'all keep, putting gas in my car and paying my phone bill. They were like, yeah, we'll do it for 1 more month. I was like, all right. And you know what? They did it for 1 more month. They continued to pay for my car, my gas in my car, pay my phone bill. And I bought my first ever professional camera for YouTube. It was that job. But I couldn't have got there until I got fed up with myself. I will say, y'all, there was a season that time in the ministry. I was selling like ebooks sometimes. I wasn't really promoting them. I was just really scary to promote my products. Even though my ministry, my YouTube was growing, I was really scared to promote products. And so I remember one day I had to call my brother. This was years and years ago because I needed to, in the first move to the city, I didn't really have no money. Every month I was struggling to pay my rent. Every month I was struggling to pay my bills. And I remember one time I called my brother and I was like, can you fund me my rent? He was like, yeah, I'll fund it for you. He was like, but I can't do this every month. Like, I got real bills over here too. And I remember I was like, all right. But I remember how low it made me feel. Like, you telling everybody you walking in faith and all this, but now you can't even pay your bills. Like, I don't know. It made me feel so low. And you know what? That moment I was fed up. Y'all, I was so fed up with being broke and struggling that I made a product that day. I made a new little course. I watched a little few YouTube videos about how you can make a course, and I launched a course. And I kid you not, that product, that one course called YouTube University, if you ever purchase YouTube University, you have helped fund my life, amen, because that one course changed the game for me. Because I think within like 2 weeks, I think I made like $5,000 off that course. And I realized you been playing so comfortable. But when you finally got fed up because you had to call somebody and ask for help, when you finally got fed up because things weren't working out, now you're willing to move around. And it was me getting so fed up that, Morgan, next month you can't call your brother Like, he got you this, but he let you know he can't do that next month. Next month, there's no other option. If you don't pay your rent, you're going to get evicted. Like, there's no other option. And so I will say I was fed up with the struggle. Now, that I gave you relationship advice on that, on how I was fed up, jobs, whatever. Let me tell you about bank accounts. Well, ladies, I have a membership called His Daughter's Closet Membership, where I have over 40 plus master classes and I teach you how to really show up for your dreams and your vision. If you are somebody that has been really wanting to step into that place of bringing your purpose to life, with over 40 plus master classes, we are the place for you. So if you're interested, the link is in the show notes or description box of this video. Check us out right now. We have a special deal going on for the HDC membership. Man, I remember one time I was just so fed up with the amount of money I was coming in. I was so fed up. I was like, you know what? I got to get a new plan. I sat down, Googled some stuff, watched some videos, how to really strategize this. Or I think I was like, how to build new systems. I learned about systems within probably 12 hours. I had a whole new strategy on how I could really take things to another level because I was fed up. Okay. And so when girls even ask me, Morgan, how did you start your health journey? How you lose the weight? How you do this? I was fed up. I was fed up. And let me tell you this. There was a photo that actually, it wasn't even a photo. It was a video I was shooting here in the office. This was a couple years ago. It was about a year and a half, 2 years ago. I was shooting this video here in the office. And when I was editing the video back to myself, I was walking across the screen and I seen my full side angle, like full side on. I'm gonna put it on the screen for y'all. And I stopped and I looked at it because it didn't feel like me. That didn't feel like that was me, but it was me, y'all. It was just me at angles that I wasn't perfecting, right? And so I did a snapshot because that was actually a video. I snapshotted that and I saved that. And I said, you will never be this big again. You will never do this to yourself again. I don't know what's going on inside of you. I don't know if it's the grief. I don't know if it's hurt and trauma in life that you're going through and you're eating your feelings, but like you gotta get control of this. And I remember I set up a doctor's appointment. I went and got my labs tested because I thought maybe this is hormonal. Like maybe I had PCOS. Like I didn't know what it was. All my labs came back. I was fine. I was low key getting into high blood pressure and all that. And I remember being like, I was so fed up with myself. I was fed up with my body. I was like, what can I do? And I remember at that time, I tried to get on Ozempic and stuff or Mounjaro. They wouldn't let me. They were like, no, you have to be like, I don't know. You have to go through other steps before you do that. I guess this is what the doctor was telling me. But I was like, I was just fed up. I was trying to do anything. And I'm actually glad that it didn't work out the way I wanted it to at that time, because the reason why I'm on my health journey now is because I was so fed up. Every month in the ministry, we have an online Bible study. This is a free time to come together. And so many women struggle on their faith walks because we're doing it alone. So join us every single month on a Wednesday for Bible study, teachings, Q&A segments, and so much more, girl. The way you grow your faith in this season is you get tapped into community. So why not join hundreds of women online as we study the Bible, as we pray corporately, and as we get some of our biggest pressing questions answered. You are so welcomed, and we invite you to our next Bible study. So check out the link in the description box or the show notes. The reason why I started walking, the reason why I cut out my candies and all the gummies I was eating, the reason why I started paying attention to emotional eating, the reason why I started noticing and saying, Morgan, when you're at work, you're not going to go get no big old cheeseburger and fries. You're going to go get a salad. The reason I started doing that was because I was so fed up with myself. And that's the key to life-changing advice, you guys. Like, there's so many things in my life that didn't shift until I was fed up. I wouldn't even be recording these episodes right now if I wasn't fed up for myself playing so scary about a podcast years ago, okay? Like, there's so many times in our lives that we keep dealing with things because it's just what we're dealing with. We don't enjoy it. We don't like it, but we're kind of comfortable and it's not requiring us to change anything. And that was me in the relationships. That was me with the job. That was me with the ministry, not really wanting to promote things. That was me with YouTube, not wanting to show up and things like that. And all of that is I finally got fed up with myself. I got fed up with my low standards, okay? And that's the key, sis. You have to get fed up and you have to raise your standard. My standard of at the time, oh man, I got to call somebody to pay my bills, that was way too low. And I was fed up with living like that. My standard of, I'm dealing with oh boy, but he making me feel horrible every single day and I don't like how I'm feeling. I was finally fed up with feeling that way, right? The situation with my parents taking my mom and like helping me take care of so much at the time back in the day. I was finally fed up when I seen her limping. When I seen her limping, I realized that I was fed up with my lack of work ethic, my laziness, my pride, my ego. I was fed up. This actually happened probably within about 2 years ago. If you don't know, I'm also a teacher, okay? I'm a teacher in an elementary school. But before I even went to teaching, I was here at the office. I had a lot of free time. I was working on things, but sometimes I felt like bored. And granted, there's content to shoot and stuff, but I had a lot of free time. And sometimes I just didn't know what to do with all my free time personally. And I remember I kept getting this desire to get a job. And I remember I was like, well, I'll go do a part-time job. Like I'll go be a barista or something in the part-time just to give me something extra. And I never applied. I never did it. And then I told myself I was going to do something else. But I remember I was sitting on my floor in this office. I was battling myself because my ego was like, well, what are people going to think if you go get a job? What are YouTube people going to think? What are people in your community going to think if you go get a job? What are they going to think? My ego was so, my pride, I didn't want them to think I failed. I didn't want them to think I've fallen off. I didn't want them to think bad about me, so I don't need to go get this job. My pride, my ego was so that much like that. But finally one day I got fed up with myself and I was like, are you doing this for man or are you doing this for God? Are you following man's view of you and what they think is acceptable and what makes you professional and successful in their eyes? Or are you following God's view? Because God's view is telling you to do something totally different that you've been fighting for months, right? And guess what, y'all? I finally obeyed the Lord. I ended up getting a job as a teacher. And I will tell you, I've been a teacher for almost 2 years now. And granted, the job is a lot, but it is so fulfilling. I love the kids. I love what I do. I love having both. Like, I love being a teacher, but also knowing that's not my final spot. But I also love being at the office and knowing I get to go and do something else too, right? Like, I love both now. At one time I didn't, but I actually really enjoy it. But my pride got so much in the way for months. My ego, what people will think about me full of myself. And that's the key, sis. You got to get fed up with yourself. Like, I get fed up sometimes. If I look at my bank account too long and see things, I get fed up. I'm like, Morgan, and then I tell myself, you not too fed up yet because you ain't changed nothing yet. When you get fed up, you will change. And I don't know how many women I've even heard and listened to were in bad relationships for years on years, but when they finally got fed up, they was done. It's like nothing the person could say. They was just like, I'm done, right? When you finally get fed up with the way you've been treating yourself, or you finally get fed up with the way you've been doing things, when you finally get fed up with the way things you've been accepting, when you finally get fed up, sis, that's when it changes. But your health is not going to change. You're not going to go get the job. You're not going to go get the driver's license. You're not going to try new things. You're not going to put yourself out there. You're not going to push your content more. You're not going to show up better until you are fed up with you. You are the thing stopping you. Literally. I remember one day, this was like maybe 4 or 5 months ago, maybe 6 months ago, I don't know. I was married because I was with my husband, and I was like, man, I really want God to take this thing to the next level at times, and I want God to do this, and I want God to do that. And he was like, do you want me to be honest with you, dear? I was like, yeah. He was like, you can't handle it. He was like, you get overwhelmed right now. You can't handle it. And you know what? The truth of the matter was, he was right. Because I was getting overwhelmed all the time. I was getting a little anxiety. I was getting nervous. Okay, what are we going to do? Everything was stressing me out. But he was correct. You can't really handle it. And he said, but the moment you can handle it, you're going to go to the next level. The moment you realize you can handle it, the moment you realize that these things are possible for you, the moment that you are fed up with the current way that you live in, you'll go to the next level. And I remember he told me that. And I remember I was like, okay, he clocked me, y'all. He clocked me. I didn't want it that real. I just wanted a little advice. I didn't want it that real. No, I'm kidding. I'm calling all my health girlies that are ready for a glow up before the glow up begins. I have a cohort of over 80 plus women that are on a 30-day monthly challenge. Every month they get smoothie recipes, they get a group, they get monthly calls with me, and we all hold each other accountable. And really, they have some accountability partners. And there has been so many women that have lost so many weight on our Esther Reset 30-day challenge. Some of them are even on round 8 by now. And so that means they've done these for 8 rounds, every 8 30-day challenges, and they've lost over 20 plus pounds. There has been so many benefits of really having accountability. So if you're a girl that needs some accountability in your life, you really want to have a glow up before the glow up begins, then girl, consider checking us out at the Esther Reset. The link is in the show notes and the description box of this video because I know it will change the game for you. The truth is, so many of us hold ourselves back. So many of us limit ourselves. And many of us are in our own way. With every story I've told you, it took me getting fed up. It didn't take them or the outside circle people. People were fed up already around me. My mom and dad were fed up with me. My brother was fed up at the time. I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure the guy I was dating he was probably fed up with me as well. Like, people around you are fed up. You got to get fed up with you though. And that is the only way your life will change. Get fed up with your current way of living. Get fed up with your current schedule. Get fed up with your current eating habits. Get fed up with your current lifestyle. When you get fed up and then you raise your standard. Like, all right, the current way in my bank account, that standard is too low. The current way that I do things, that standard is way too low. When you get fed up, you need to raise your standard. If I'm fed up with my lights getting cut off, my standard is that they can't be cut off no more. Okay? You have to get fed up. And once you get fed up with that, things will change for you. But you got to get fed up. So many women around the world I've chatted with on calls, I've chatted with online, I've chatted with in the chats, on YouTube, on Instagram, on lives, whatever. They're like, Morgan, how did you do this? Morgan, how do you keep going? Morgan, what motivates you? Morgan, how did you lose the weight? Morgan, how did you start this? Morgan. And the truth is, I got fed up. Different seasons of my life, God requires me to get fed up with myself. Get fed up with my thinking, get fed up with my pride, get fed up with my ego, get fed up with my current way of living. God requires me to get fed up with myself. And when I get fed up with myself, that's when things change. Truly. That is when things change for me. And so I want to encourage you today. If you're noticing that there are things you desire in your life, but you don't have really a desire to change, you're not really going after it, you're haphazardly, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, showing up sometime, not all the time. If you're noticing that that's how you are operating, ask yourself, am I truly fed up with my lifestyle? Am I truly fed up with my body? Am I truly fed up yet with this relationship or situationship? Am I truly fed up with the current way that I've been doing business? Am I fed up yet? Because when you get fed up, sis, things change because you start showing up different. You're so fed up that you got to do something. And that's how it's worked for me. When I've gotten so fed up, I've had to do something. I've gotten so fed up before, I've had to get a job. I've gotten so fed up before, I've had to leave this relationship. I've gotten so fed up, I've got to make a new strategy. I've gotten so fed up that I've got to get a new routine and a better work ethic. I've gotten so fed up with myself at times that it is hard to swallow when you're knowing you're not being all that you know you could be. You're not even getting close to it. You're settling. That can be overwhelming a little bit to face that. But once you face that, you can go forward because you're so fed up and your standards are going to be raised, okay? Well, ladies, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if this episode blessed you or encouraged you, comment that down in the chat below. Let me know if this helped you. If this is like something you need to take and meditate on, like what area in my life do I need to be fed up so I can change, okay? Like literally. So if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it with one of your girlfriends. Also, always leave us a review or a comment because then you're automatically in the running for some Fearless merch. And ladies, I'll see you in my next one. Stay fearless.